potential performance difference, but that word gets left out. Potential. It gets completely left out of the equation. And they say, well, if we look at these chips with other cards, this is what happens. A couple of sites have tried to do this. The problem is the average gamer coming up, looking at getting into PC gaming, or even been in PC gaming many times, 10 plus years, doesn't have the technical interest to understand that nuance. And we need to, well, I say we, I was a reviewer for so long, I still include myself. They need to make sure that nuance is communicated so that these people can make good buying choices. I keep hearing these sites saying they're there to help the consumer, they're there to protect the consumer. You've got to educate and give that nuance. And if you don't, you're not there for the consumer. Fancy hat. I'm hearing myself back through your mic.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't.
That's okay.
Sometimes. So when we're talking about like performance, like gauging and how to go about choosing what to get, like how do you account for like the various like nuances of your own gaming experience? Like when I'm looking for a new graphics card, like how would I need to consider, like, for example, the fact that I play on Linux and I'd have to go through like Proton or something like that? How would you factor that into the process of selecting a new video card?
Adding the Linux to the equation is just going, and Fancy Hat, do me a favor, mute your mic for right now. Here, Mikkel, where am I getting the feedback from? I don't understand this, Mikkel. I'm still getting feedback. Is anybody else getting it? Okay, there we go. Well, no. Mikkel, I'm still getting it. I'm still hearing my conversation. There we go. Nope. There. Okay, there. Nope. Mikkel, do me a favor. Drop out his speaker and let's see if it continues. Awesome. There we go. It's Mikkel. No, it's not. I don't know where this is coming from. This is hilarious. All right. I don't know where this is coming from. I'm checking. What do I have open right now? There. I did have Twitch open. Oh, well, that's why. Okay. So, back to the question. Because when you add Linux, you just added a whole nother variable to this discussion. Linux is not, it's not well represented in PC gaming testing. It's just not. There's 100 reasons for that. Most of them are fairly obvious. And because of that, it's difficult for me to give a recommendation. What I would say, especially with Linux, is any performance numbers you see with scaling technology or frame generation, I would ignore. Because as I understand it, and again, the Linux users in the audience, correct me if I'm wrong, those aren't well supported in Linux yet. And if those aren't supported, you're never going to see those performance numbers. So you're going to want to look. Come on, guys. I'm still here for 25 minutes. Video conference gremlins. I love it. Will there be a toxic? Well, there's that question once again. Okay, well, first, obviously, for the 9000 series, I can't discuss anything. I wish I could. I really do. In fact, I was hoping I would be able to buy this. Toxic is something that is looked at every generation. And the sad truth is that there is so little extra room in performance that toxic is not a good idea for the extra cost. And that's the other killer, the cost. So when you take a card, let's use one of the existing cards right now. Let's take the 7900 XTX. You want to make a toxic version of it. You might be able to get another 1 or 2% performance over a Nitro Plus. You might be able to do that. You might be able to even get a cooler that can run a little quieter and cool a little better. But you're going to probably jack up the price 10 to 12%. Now, 10 to 12% for a 1% performance boost is not worth it in anybody's opinion. And this is always a consideration when we look at toxic. Can we achieve enough of a difference to qualify it as toxic? And will the price point for that difference fall into a place people would actually be willing to pay it? And more as we go forward, that's just not happening. So, no, I don't believe there will be a toxic. I'm not going to say there won't. I'm saying I don't believe there will be. Chaser, you're up.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of weird questions, but when it comes to the different generations and when you're looking for a card, and also when you're reviewing a card, how much of the software that goes along with the card factors into some of the decisions you might make? Because, like for instance, for me, I am quite literally coming from NVIDIA experience to AMD Adrenaline, and I'm finding the Adrenaline is a bit more of a learning curve, and it doesn't seem as robust, shall we say, as some of the offerings in the GeForce experience. And how does that sort of thing kind of factor in when you're looking at reviewing a card or recommending a card?
Absolutely, it's going to have to factor in. Now, let's clarify something. GeForce Experience is actually a separate program. It's not part of the NVIDIA drivers. So that, to me, is something I don't like. I don't want to run extra software on my PC. The Radeon Experience is actually baked into the drivers. It's all part of it. It's all there together.
So you can't have...
You can have a pure driver experience from Radeon, but I've never noticed a performance difference or stability difference to justify it. Now, that's my own experience. Everybody's mileage varies. But I think this is an important consideration. It was important enough that AMD has added a lot of the features that NVIDIA put into drivers first into their drivers. When it comes to brands, I've reached the point that even with motherboards, mice, and keyboards, I ignore the extra software the brands use. When we do tricks, one of the things I've been working with our team within tricks is we've simplified it. Okay, we don't have fan control anymore because Radeon offers fan control. We don't have overclocking anymore. Radeon offers overclocking capabilities. We don't have live monitoring. Radeon offers that. We put the RGB control in if you have a Nitro Plus. We put a fan test in, the software BIOS in. Then we put Trix Boost in. But then we stopped, and we made it a program that doesn't have to keep running. All right, so this doesn't have to run in the background. So if you've got a Nitro Plus and you go in and you set up full unicorn puke on your graphics card, you can actually remove Trix Boost or Trix software, and that RGB setting stays. You can actually remove the card from the computer you've got it in, put it in another computer that's never had Trix software installed, and that RGB setting stays. I love that we did that. That persistence to me is really cool. So, but as far as comparing software NVIDIA to AMD, really it comes down to, do you need the features? Relive does an okay job. I've never had a problem with using Relive for streaming or recording. It actually does a pretty good job. And with AV1 encoding now becoming more widely available, it does a much better job than it used to do. As far as software that monitors the computer, I love Radeon software for my monitoring app. I don't use things like MSI Afterburner and stuff anymore for the monitoring of what my system is doing. I can just what is it? Control Shift O, I think it is. Hold on a second, I can tell you. Yes, Control Shift O. I hit Control Shift O, and I've already set up what I want to see on that: frames per second, the graphics card clock and temperature, the CPU clock and temperature. And those things pop right up on my screen, and I can make them disappear, and I'm not running an extra program in the background. That, to me, is a big selling point for Radeon software. It's tough, though, to do it comparatively to NVIDIA. And the reason why is there are some really interesting tools in the NVIDIA software. But you pay a lot for those extra tools. You pay more for an NVIDIA card, and that's part of the reason you pay more, the extra software. So the question becomes, is that extra software necessary for your gaming experience? If it's not necessary for your gaming experience, then, well, gosh, why does it matter? This is something nobody talks about. It's easy to look at a feature and go, that's a great feature, okay? Nitro Plus has a software-controlled dual BIOS, so that I don't physically have to open the computer if I want to switch between one of the two BIOSes. I can do it in software, reboot the machine, I'm in the new BIOS. That's a cool feature. How often are you going to actually use it? If you're not going to use it, does the feature matter? And that's kind of where you're at with the software you're talking about. Look at the feature set. It may sound really cool, but if it's not a feature you're going to regularly use, in my opinion, it's not even worth consideration in the purchasing decision.
Yeah, that I was about to say that seems to be one of the things I'm running into, and I've also noticed a lot of people have said where typically NVIDIA cards, and I'm sorry I keep comparing the two of them, and I'm
That's
well, I mean,
okay.
I know, like NVIDIA cards with the GeForce Experience, it seems like they do things through finesse, where AMD cards like my 7800 basically brute force things by just slapping more VRAM onto them.
Well, it brute forces it, but it keeps it local, and there's an advantage to keeping it local. I want you to think about that. I don't know, and because I don't have an NVIDIA card in front of me right now to check this, do you still have to sign up and log in to use GeForce Experience?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You have an account to do that. Yeah.
So here's the question: why?
Because
Now,
they want your data.
they want your data. This is the whole point. They want your data. This is like,
Eric says it
okay,
doesn't do that anymore.
I'm going to use a different company to express the same concept. The Kroger's card, Kroger's membership card, the little Kroger's card. You have to now use coupons from their mobile app on their phone. They don't print apps or coupons very often anymore. Now you have to use the coupons from your phone app. And they tell you it's to be more convenient for you. No, it's not. It's so they can get your data and sell your data. So think about this. You go to a company and they collect your data, they sell your data, so they make money on you not only with what you bought, but the fact you exist as a customer. And did it lower the price to help you to do that? If it didn't, that's something to think about. So I hope I answered your question, though.
Oh yeah, you did. But I think
all right, who's next? Who's next? Okay, they're saying they got rid of that with the current app. But does it still have to go back to the internet? This is the point. Does it still have to go back to the internet? If it still has to go back to the internet, it's sending data. Just something to think about. I'm not going to put on a tinfoil hat, but something to think about. Weird Al about tinfoil hats. There's a picture of me floating around someplace wearing a tinfoil hat. Well, yeah, you got to have the internet to download the driver. I don't begrudge anybody downloading a driver. But do you have to have the internet to install the driver? This would be a question. Could you download the driver, turn off the internet, and still install and function normally? This would be a question. Bust a cap. What you got, brother?
Hey, I've always been an NVIDIA fanboy, so give me the little elevator speech for why I should switch.
Oh, elevator speech for why you should switch. NVIDIA doesn't have me. There you go. AMD has been for a long time the value proposition leader. They have produced in it when you get to about the $600 price point and down, AMD has consistently had the better value product, better performance for the price point. And for everyday gamers, I think that that's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. NVIDIA has not always been, to gamers or to partners, the most friendly company to work with. Now, I'm not saying AMD has been a saint, but NVIDIA hasn't been a friendly company to work with. And finally, I would have you consider this. So if everybody is willing to spend $1,500 or $1,000 on a graphics card, why produce a card for $800 if people are willing to keep spending the money on the higher end stuff? And if you move that value up to, as NVIDIA has, $2,000, and they're able to sell those really well, why then won't the next card be more expensive? See, the pricing of video cards, people like to believe they understand what the pricing of video cards is supposed to be based on performance. Performance is irrelevant to pricing. It's manufacturing costs. It's R&D. These are the things that matter in this. But there's a third factor, the factor that nobody wants to talk about. It's what will the market bear? So if I can produce a card and sell it for $2,000 and I can move a buttload of them, why would I sell anything for less? And if those keep moving and I move to 2,500, it keeps moving, and I move to 3,000, it keeps moving. This is one of the reasons we're seeing the price hike go up. This is part of the problem with the price hike. Everything at the end of the day is what will the market bear. NVIDIA has pushed that number up. And there's a saying that high tide lifts all ships. Well, the problem is tide doesn't care if your boat's in good shape or not. It's going to lift it anyway. And in this particular case, I'm kind of scared that NVIDIA is the reason we're seeing the video card pricing hike. I mean, if they can sell them for this much, you don't have to come in that much lower to have a better value. And why go lower than that if you don't have to? I don't know if that's an elevator speech, but there's my thoughts.
That was pretty good, but Dead Horse did have a good point too. Which company supports LanWar?
There you go. Here, I'll give you my reason that I don't like NVIDIA, and it has nothing to do with where I work. I've not liked NVIDIA for years. I can give you two reasons. I was working as a reviewer back in the day of 3DFX. Had great contacts at 3DFX. It was a great company to work with. And I get a phone call, and it's the rep from 3DFX. He's calling me. He said, Ed, I'm going to send you these 5 cards, and I'm sending you this beta of a driver. And I'm like, that's cool. What's going on? We're about to be bought tomorrow by NVIDIA. Okay. So I got a bunch of cards. It helped out some friends, and I got this beta of a driver for the newest card at the time that they were still working on. They hadn't released it yet. There was a bug in the driver that had been released, and this was the fix. Well, we all kept waiting because we figured NVIDIA would release the official driver for the 3DFX owners and move on, right? Finally, after a couple of weeks, a few of us reached out to NVIDIA, say, hey, we know the finalized driver was completed, and you guys own it right now. Will you be releasing this to the general public for the 3DFX owners so that they can have the latest driver on this hardware? The response I got, and I can still quote this response today, if you want proper support, you need to invite an NVIDIA card. Remember, they just bought the company. And they basically told everybody at this company that had bought their product, hey, screw you, you need to come pay us more money now. That was a lousy attitude to have. Okay, that was an immediate turnoff for me, for NVIDIA, when that happened. Myself and about 30 other people released the drivers we had been given into the wild, and let's just say NVIDIA wasn't happy when that happened. The second instance happened, gosh, I'm trying to think how long ago this was. It's been, 10 years? Remember when NVIDIA was working with a couple of display manufacturers to do the stereoscopic 3D? I got approached by NVIDIA. I was a reviewer, and they wanted me to review that stereoscopic 3D. They sent me the monitor, they sent me the glasses, they sent me the graphics card. And I did this through another site that the owner of the site and I had become friends. And so he had helped me line up the review through NVIDIA. And it's the day before I'm going to go on the show, and he calls me up and he said, hey, what'd you think? Are you going to review it? And I said, it's really interesting technology. But using it, I feel like I'm looking at my computer games through the old viewfinders. We used to, you know the one I'm talking about, where you put the disc in the top and click it, and it would look at it. The 3D to me has that effect. His response to me was instantaneous. You can't say that on your show. What do you mean I can't say that on my show? If you say that on your show, NVIDIA will never send you another product again. They'll never do business with you again if you say that on your show. It's an honest review. I'm not saying it's bad tech. I'm saying for me personally, this is what the effect looks like. You can't say that, man. I'm telling you, you can't say that. Well, I went on the air and I said it, and I never got another NVIDIA card. I couldn't even get NVIDIA reps to talk to me after that. I'm not a big fan of the way they've run their company over the years. And I don't think they make a bad product. I don't even think they're necessarily bad people. I just don't like the way they directly interact with gamers. There you go. There's my thoughts. We've lost Bustacat.
No, thank you. That was succinct. Maybe not succinct, but good.
Nothing I say is succinct. Thank you for the question. What else we got, Nigel?
Man, them cheeses better be delicious.
Okay, Mungo, go ahead.
So, first big question. What's up, Ed? How's it going?
Not too bad. I've got a few irritating health issues. Nothing life-threatening, but a few irritating health issues. But other than that, everything's all right.
Man, I'm missing you at LAN because out of all the builds, I always love coming in and seeing your little, quite literal small form factor build, and I'm missing it.
Now,
I'm missing it and your wife. What happened?
Unfortunately, it would. Well, a lot of things, life in general. The build wouldn't have been that impressive this time anyway because there's nothing new on it. It's the same build. The only change that was made was instead of that had a 5800X 3D, it's now a 7800X 3D. That was the only change really made.
Oh, okay. So you switched to AM5. I still, again, you have the favorite build out of everyone's.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Always love seeing that thing.
What's the question?
So let me make it pretty lame. New games are coming out, and ever since I think it was The Last of Us remake or remaster came to PC, I'm seeing 8 gig VRAM cards kind of kind of going through a slow death out here.
Yes.
Um, I guess I should ask, is there any plans that you know of from like AMD that's going to try to create better entry level cards that has more than 8 gigs of VRAM, or try to push for cards to have more VRAM on deck than sadly what I'm seeing at Nvidia? Or
I can't really comment on the future of a product because first, I don't have a magic 8 ball, and second, that there's like I've got enough NDAs to tie me up for years in court. Even if I wanted to, yeah. So that being said, I think that realistically, if you're using anything beyond a 1080p display, an 8 gig graphics card is almost a waste of your money. I think we are reaching that point. 10 gig, 12 gig to me is the new minimum that I think we should all be striving for. The good news is, depending on your point of view, the scaling technology sometimes will let that be mitigated. The bad news is that 1080p scaling technology tends to be ugly. It doesn't look good.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's fairly safe to say that's like in general computer memory. It wasn't that many years ago that 16 gig was considered sufficient. Right now, if you were building a new system, there is no way on earth I would tell you to get 16 gigs of RAM. I would tell you 32 gig is the minimum you want to get. And that would be the advice I would give. It's the same thing with a graphics card today. If you're going to buy a new graphics card today, unless you are superly budget constrained, I would not settle for less than 10 to 12 gig, even at 1080p. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's selfishly that was my theory, but now that I've heard someone that's way smarter than me, I feel
Well,
vindicated.
that's smarter.
But I'm telling you, Ed, you're smarter than me, bro. I promise you on that.
I love how people believe this. I live by a simple philosophy I was taught many years ago. If you cannot dazzle them with brilliance, you baffle them with bullshit. Thanks for the question, though.
Oh, thank
Because
you.
Joyster, what's up again? You're back.
I actually have a question this time.
Okay.
I know obviously you can't talk about forthcoming efforts, but do you know of any efforts that are publicly
I hate to admit it, and I'm going to have to admit this. I pretty much keep myself away from the machine learning side and the AI stuff.
Okay.
And the reason I do that is because, well, in the end, all it does is piss me off. And I already kind of explained why. I don't think we have used it the way it should be used. And this is all my opinion, okay? I'm not going to say they're actually wrong. I believe they're wrong. With the way it's been used, the way it's marketed, the way it's put together with the hardware, that's all my opinion. But then again, my opinion is based on a really simple perspective. I'm a PC gamer. Okay, I want to load up my game. I want to play my game. I want to enjoy my game. And I want to do it without having to take out a second mortgage to buy the graphics card, let alone the rest of the PC. I want it to be stable. I want it to run cool. And I want it to run quiet. I just got a 3-minute warning.
I got you. Thank you for the answer.
That's no problem. We'll grab one more question. And Chaser is here. Or Chaser is not here. And Mungo is still here.
I'm sorry I got invited to the stage. I don't have another question prepared as of yet.
That's okay. That's okay. One more question, and then we're going to do a giveaway. I'm really sad that Lady Waza hasn't come in here with a question yet. I'm just sad. She was here for a little while. And you've got a randomizer for the giveaway? She is puzzling. Oh, now my wife's going to be sad because she was looking forward to puzzling. Oh, she is. She's in there. She's giving me the wine now. Gnosis has a question. Gnosis, you got to ask the question.
There we are. Can you hear me? There
I
he
can
is.
hear you.
And I'm looking forward to the day that I can roll up my display, my flexible
Oh, aren't
flat
we
panel
all?
high resolution display. And
Aren't
take it
we
to the
all?
LAN. How far out are we, man? 5 years?
Well, you've already seen Linus Tech Tips has already shown a laptop that has it.
Yep.
Realistically, for general consumers, at least 7 to 10. I think we're quite a way out. Even the bendable displays, you'll notice, are only available at the really high end. So the true rollable, the ability to get super small and roll it up, it is still a way off. The technology in the display industry that I really like right now is mini LEDs.
Right.
These are about to face tough competition because we've begun to see 27-inch OLEDs down to the $500 price point. That's making them reasonably priced. At that price point, for a high refresh rate monitor to begin with, is a good price. With an OLED screen, oh my God. But I picked up, for this event, I was going to show it off. I've got the 27-inch AOC mini LED 1440p. It sells for $250. It competes with my C2 42-inch. It's got deep blacks, much brighter. The mini LED displays are much brighter than OLEDs. And that brightness shows in the pop. So as gamers for displays, we've got great options available to us.
Yeah.
And then the sad part to me, though, is LG went and screwed it up because they decided everybody needs an 800R curve. And as I saw the other day, I had an opportunity to actually sit down in front of a 45-inch LG 3440 by 1440. Pixel density for me is fine. I'm an old man, bad eyes. The curve killed me. Even for gaming, the curve killed me because it's just too steep. You feel like your head's stuck into the monitor. And that to me was just awful. If I could have had that about 1200R or even 1000R, that would have been amazing. 800R, I don't know who at LG thought that up, but they need to be fired.
Good answer. Ed, thank you. Looking forward to seeing you at the Summerland, man.
We'll see you guys this summer for sure. All right. So, Mr. Mickle, we need to give away a graphics card. Which graphics card are we giving away? Where? Get Lopez's button here. He knows. 7700 XT. Is it the Pulse or the Nitro Plus? He's not paying attention. 7800 XT. Ooh, now we're talking. This is a 1440p gaming little beast. So we are going to. Am I up yet? Tell me when we're up. Okay. So I want to thank everybody that took the time to come out and join us. We had a great group. We had some lively discussion, just like every time. I wish I was there. It's always way more fun when I'm there. But in the meantime, we need to give away a Sapphire Nitro Plus 7800 XT. This is a 1440p gaming monster card. This is a great gaming experience for 1440p. So somebody's going to get really lucky. Mr. Mickle is going to roll amongst the people that attended the event and select us a winner. Go for it, sir. Mighty Shy. Oh, love the cat. I love the memes. These are awesome. The memes in the conversation are fantastic. We have any sound effects? Don't we have a soundboard? We need a soundboard with like a slot machine sound. And around and around and around it goes. Oh, there we go. Dun, 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 dun. I can't read that. Fancy Hat. Is Fancy Hat in the channel? Yes, Fancy Hat is here. Congratulations, Fancy Hat. Again, thank you everybody for coming out and doing this with us. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the little notes I've received about missing me at the event. Like I said, the wife and I miss you guys. We wish we'd been there. We fully intend to be there in July. So one way or another, we're going to do our best to be there in July and hope all of you can be there with us. And on that note, Mr. Mickle, I think we ought to let everybody get back to their tournaments and their gameplay. Again, everyone, thank you. Have a great rest of the weekend. Bye, LanWar. Are we clear yet? You don't have to kick them out. You could take us off the big screen. Oh, my God. Oh. So if I do this, everybody saw it. Ah, bummer. Bummer. So if I gave everybody the moon, they didn't see it. No. You only get live or nothing.
And there's only so many that actually see it. Are we kicking everybody else?
All right, Lopez and Mickle, thank you for putting this together.
You're welcome, man. Glad we could do it.
All right, you guys go play some games, have some fun. I'm gonna go play some MechWarrior.
We'll do.
Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Later.